Hello, everybody. Welcome back to episode 35 of the Eyes Wide Open podcast. I am your host, Kaya, Von Kaya, the great, the amazing. How is everybody doing today? Let's get into our topic. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast. Today, as you guys can see by the title, we're going to be talking about divine timing, bareface, no makeup other than the lippy. So just kind of rock with me. But today we're talking about divine timing. Now, I went online and I was actually, interestingly enough, looking for like a real true definition to give you guys other than to just babble off what I feel like it is or my opinion of what it is. And I actually could not find like a Webster's type of definition for this term. So I actually went and did into a couple of other websites to look to see what they had to say, to see if I could maybe just find something that resonated with how I view it. And it is from blackpackverse.com. I'll actually link it below where I found this in case you guys want to read into this article. It's actually a pretty good article. But this was closer than a couple of the other ones I have seen. But it is the belief that everything in your life occurs at precisely the right moment. Deaths, births, breakups, makeups, all that good stuff. Everything is occurring at precisely the right time. You know what I mean? Like divinity, meant to be that way. You know what I'm saying? Orchestrated by the universe. Very scary, but beautiful. If you guys are believers that God is like, the highest of the high and he's guiding us in our intuition, then like rock with me because we're about to kind of get into some of that stuff and a couple of elements of embracing divine timing, okay? So when did I realize that divine timing was actually at play in my life? So I believe it's always been at play in my life, but when I realized it, I would almost say like the beginning of this year is when it really, really hit me like, oh, I see all these things. I see. I think it was the first time that I saw divine timing on a big picture for myself. Like, stepping outside of the situation and looking at everything, I went from being like on the ground to above the ground, more giraffe mode with the long necks and they see down so they see far and wide. I started to see my life more from the perspective of the giraffe, okay? And that was huge for me because it allowed me to see how things were all being orchestrated in that divine way. You know what I mean? I started to look back at things from the past and things I was currently going through, and I was like, oh, that's that timing they're talking about. Beautiful. Now, funny enough, I could always see this playing out in other people's lives, but it took me a really long time to understand it, what it truly is on itself for me. Really, there were things that I thought were like, oh, this is happening because blah, 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 blah. And it really isn't like that. I would be going through something thinking it was teaching me one lesson. It was teaching me a totally different lesson. And that's what I mean. Like, I had that perspective shift and I started to see like, oh, these are the lessons I need to be learning. This is where my barriers are and where my blocks are at. And so it was just like really nice revelation. And I'm 30 years old for anybody who is curious. I made 30 in April. So it was just slightly before my 30th birthday when I really like, oh, okay. Like an ascension, like you raise a level. That's how I felt. Like I went from being one speed to like a whole different level of viewing and seeing and looking at things differently. Did anybody else have that like age 30 perspective shift? Everyone tells me that it happens, and mine for sure happened. It was crazy. I was like, dang, it's this real? But my next question, how do we embrace divine timing? Okay, these are just some ways in which I feel we can embrace divine timing. There's 4. I didn't want to get too crazy, but the first one that I have is worry less. Please worry less. Stop being a worry wart. If you're truly worrying, you're not really allowing God, your guides, divine timing to come into play. Because if you're worrying, you're putting just negative energy out. You're already expecting like negative things to come into you, so you're not manifesting properly or like radiating that good positivity outward so that it can come back inward to you. You know what I mean? So stop being a worrywart. Release it to the universe and allow it to be. What you have to focus on is manifesting what you want, doing things that are in line with who you are as a person. And I feel like when you do that and you put the worry away, it allows you to maneuver a little more fluidly. You get what I mean? No matter what your sign is, it allows for more fluid movement within your life when you're not being a worrywart, okay? Next, embrace your intuitive nature. We are all believed to have the gift of intuition. We're all very blessed to have the gift of intuition. Plenty of times people have fallen off of their path simply because they don't want to listen to that. They want to look for answers to help them by going outside of themselves when really you need to look within, right? God and the divine guide us internally, is how I view it. And when you tend to be all over the place and just kind of not listening to your intuition, you always need to find a way to work yourself back into a place of balance so that you can get rooted within, your intuition and what God has to explain to you. Does that make sense? I'm hoping it's making sense to everybody. But a great way to come back into balance with yourself is meditation or just time alone. Sit with yourself alone and with your thoughts. You can journal. Those are great things that you can do. Maybe I'll do an episode about that, but I think I did one about how to rebalance and cleanse your energy. But that's definitely that podcast. I will link it below. Totally link it below. Definitely do those things. They're going to help you get back in alignment with your intuition and with your path that you should be on for your ultimate happiness. You know what I mean? I will say this, your path should feel good to you. If it's not, I feel as though either you're on the wrong path or you're resisting something. You're resisting letting go of something, and you might be looking at it in lack mindset. Like, I don't want to let that go because if I let that go, I'm not going to have X, Y, Z. When really letting one thing go makes way for something better to enter in. So just think about that. You know what I mean? Just think about it. Use your intuition. Stay on your path. Okay. The next one, the third one, release control issues. Please. You know what I mean? I had to learn this. This is a huge lesson for me this year. I have a podcast on lessons from 2020 coming up this month. Be on the lookout for it. Just saying. But release control issues. Please release control issues. Remember that you can only control yourself. Trying to control other people and the situation, it's going to create imbalance for you because you're so then focused on everybody else that you don't pull all that focus that you're putting on other people. You're either not putting it on yourself enough or you're missing out on a whole bunch of energy that could be being poured into you. So just think about that. You can't control things. You shouldn't allow other things to control you. The only thing that you can control is yourself, like your own personal self. That's the probably the most beautiful form of control you can have is self-control. And I think that if you release feeling like you have to control other people or control a situation or make a situation be this certain specific way, if you can release that, I'm telling you, divine timing, you allow it to do its thing. Because every time divine timing is at play and then you come in there and you try to do some extra stuff, you're creating another lesson you have to learn for yourself. Like, I genuinely feel like that. There's so many things that it's like you technically know better, but you're doing it anyway, or you're like, I figure it out. Sometimes if you just listen and you just think before you act, spirit is talking to you. Gotta listen. And it's not just listen here, but like here. So listen. Listen to the downloads tapping into your brain like these. Listen. Okay. Next one, the last one. I wanted to tap into this one a lot. I feel as though people are not super receptive to this, but they should be. Be open to change. Please be open to change. Be open to be adaptable when you need to be. There's plenty of times that what stops people from embracing their path is that they're just scared of change. They're scared of having to do something different. Please embrace change. embrace that God and spirit and the divine might have a much better plan for you than you even are orchestrating in your head. And they're just like, if she would just be open to changing this one little thing, or if he would be open to changing this one little thing, boom, everything goes crazy for them. But because you're not trusting your intuition, you're afraid of that change, you're afraid of evolving in that way, it is going to create like more of a difficulty. Divine timing can't happen if you're going to sit still and not do nothing. Divine timing is going to catch your butt and make you listen. But at some point, you do have to embrace change, because things will change. They will inherently change, and it's good to understand how to embrace it. Even if it's a slow embracing, or if you have to like do it gracefully and gently. If you know change is something that you struggle with, think about small little exercises you can do to learn how to overcome that and embrace it a little bit more. Because change is good. It can also be bad, but it's also very good to have at least an open mind to consider what is being asked of you to change, or what is being shown to you that you could change for a better outcome later. It's just good to have an open mind to that. You know what I mean? Yes, be rooted and consider where you stand on your own moral compass and your own intuition, but also just be willing to hear the other side out, so that you're aware of like, okay, well, this is this option and this is that option, and I could weigh them a little bit better if I'm a little more open to what each can bring me and how each can hinder me, because then you make better decisions, right? So using your discernment, being open to change, very key. And I think once you use your discernment, or if you have a highly developed discerning nature, I think that it'll be easier for you to be open to change. I definitely think change is more difficult for people whose discernment can be a little off, or people who just do not like they're stubborn. They don't like anything to be different than how it is for them right now. That's great, but it definitely will hurt you later on. Doesn't matter how successful you are, if you are unwilling to waver at all, ever, it's kind of good to waver. It's kind of good to give and to see what more is available to you. You know what I'm saying? I'm just letting y'all know. So, what does embracing divine timing do mentally? I wanted to touch on this last. Now, I have closed my laptop now. Embracing divine timing mentally, for me, alleviated me of stress. It allowed me to stop. Sometimes my mind can get all over the place, and it just goes and goes and goes and goes and goes. And I feel like I finally was just like, I'm just going to drop it. I'm going to do what I need to do. I'm going to manifest my life by action, by prayer, by meditation. I'm going to manifest the things that I want by sticking to my spiritual practices that I use for this, as well as making sure that I listen within. I go within. I don't look without. But mentally dropping it, it's like I just have a free, clear mind, and that is very, very, very difficult for me to get. It's hard. I feel like most of the things that I spend thinking about come from me being worried, or me being nervous, or me being scared about how something's going to pan out, because I can see a lot of possibilities. I'm a Gemini rising, if you guys are curious, but I can see a lot of perspectives, and I had to learn, like, you know what? Whatever perspective this is, God, Spirit, I give it to you. I let you do what you need to do, and I'm going to go where I need to be. And I feel as though once I stopped focusing so much on like thinking, and put more into doing, I just noticed like, oh wow, this is coming into me. And even things that are like a trip up, I'm just being able to see the lesson differently and embrace the lesson better, and catch on to things. Patterns mean a lot to me. I start to notice people's patterns and habits and cycles and just what they do that are consistent. I notice that within myself. Hey, I maybe should take a look at this pattern that I have. Why do I do it this way? It started to allow me to just view myself different and see the things I needed to see easier. Once I just gave up trying to control things, I have a very strange control complex. It's very strange, but I'm grateful that now I've gotten to where it's like, release all of that. That's not my worry. None of that is my worry. None of that is going to be on me. And now what I have on me is my peace, myself. I show love, I give love, I ask for guidance to help others. And I believe that the work that I do or wherever I set my intention, that's going to come out for me. That's going to show up for me. And I think that's really what creates the bigger change for me, is just being able to know that I'm on the right path in terms of helping people, or I'm on my right path specifically. It might not be everybody's path to do what I'm doing, obviously, but I feel like I'm on my path. And I feel as though because I'm on my path, if I get knocked off or turned one way, I'm just noticing now, like I'm getting different signals, different downloads to myself, like, oh, no. Scoot, thank you. Divine timing, giving away the control of feeling like I gotta pinpoint plan every little thing. Just doing and allowing the opportunities to come to me have helped me tremendously, and I hope to embrace it even more next year, because I feel like this year was like a weird trial, testy, like, you gotta figure this out, because I started like tripping over myself, tripping over lessons, didn't learn them right, repeated some messed up, habits, patterns that I had. It is what it is. That's life. But now I'm feeling like, oh, I got it now. I got this now. It took me a second. It took me a second tripping and getting myself back up, but I got it now. I have just learned how to allow things to come and go as they are going to come and go. I have tried not to emotionally attach myself to things too much, because I can be very emotional, not in a bad way. Like, I just love people and things, and if you guys only knew, so many small little things make me cry. It can just be the way a song is playing, a melody, it can be a kid's voice, anything, a reaction, stuff just can get to my heart. Like, I can connect very deeply to that. And so knowing that I have dropped all of that from me, all of that super deep depth emotional connection, I've been able to be just more free, and I can just live and roam and do, and I'm not worried anymore. I just don't feel scared. Dropping all that, embracing divine timing mentally, it's like the first time I feel like I've been able to like rest, and my mind actually rests too. I can remember in past times I could go to sleep with a podcast on, wake up and have told you what was said, what happened, because I will like listen while I sleep. My brain like would not shut off. And it's finally gotten to a point where like things are learning how to turn down. I'm learning how to calm down. Everything's learning how to get back in play to, I don't want to say box me in, but like I'm rebuilding myself a little bit. But I love it. It makes me very happy. I feel like a whole new box. But that's what I wanted to share with you guys. It's just a little bit about divine timing and like why it's important to me, and kind of this year what it's taught me, because I think what I thought I knew about it, I deepened for sure in the last couple of months. It has deepened, and I'm glad I waited to have a discussion about it. I'm so glad I waited, because some of the things that I went through were like imperative to this episode. So imperative. But guys, I appreciate you guys so much for being here, and I'm glad that we're nearing the end of 2020. Hopefully to see some changes into 2021. I've got some really good content coming for you guys. Please check out the Caution Women at Play podcast. Myself and Audaciously Me, my best friend Ashley, we have put that together for you guys. It's every Wednesday live on Facebook and on YouTube. I will put the links for both of those below, so you guys just tap in. If you're looking for tarot card reads, again, reach out to me. I am your girl. I will hook you guys up on some personal reads. And be on the lookout for collective reads as well. I do actual collective tarot card reads for people who are curious. So I will talk to you guys next Wednesday yet again. And I appreciate you all for being here with me, and we'll see you soon. Bye.